everybody. This is Chad Kazern from Covert Reality. This is it's been a while since I've done an episode of what's on my mind when it comes to spraying and when it comes to the plan in the world to stop geoengineering. It has turned into a point where the scientists and the Council on Foreign Relations is forced to come out and start talking about these geoengineering operations, and they're literally just going to say that they're going to start soon. We're at March what is it today? The 27th today, so in 2017. And there's just so much to go over. Everything's happening so fast. I haven't been doing as many episodes because it's just kind of better to sit back and absorb all of it, and to be able to tally it up and say a better evaluation of what's going on. So we have Bill Gates under a lot of pressure, and a lot of funding is being taken away from their programs. So it just makes them have to ramp up really quick to push policies through. So there's all sorts of push now for David Keith and their science leagues to just go ahead and say that we're going to geoengineer the planet and start spraying everybody soon to combat this climate change, when we all know that geoengineering has already been going on. And that's the crime of the century right there, is the fact that they're lying that they haven't been doing it yet, but they've already been doing it, and it's been causing neurological diseases, death, Alzheimer's, all sorts of autism, respiratory illnesses, asthma. I'm one of those victims of asthma. And so we have these things happening at a large scale right now. And it's really, I'm really feeling this, that it's going to blow up and backfire in their face. And I just want to say that I want to say thank you to, and I'm not trying to promise anything here, but I do want to say thank you to everybody out there that has cared and has noticed that we have been sprayed in our atmosphere, and that we've been literally subjects of an experiment, of a science experiment, a mad science experiment, where science leagues want to just kind of move ahead, and military wants to move ahead, but I think it's mostly about surveillance, control, how to take people out really quick. You can use frequency weapons to manipulate and to control your centers, especially at a time where you get a grand awakening where a lot of people are waking up. You're going to get this, it's kind of a desperate move by the dark side to say, wow, we're not going to go down yet. We have this, as a backup, so watch out. And so what I'm just hoping for is this, is that the fact that they have been trying to talk about geoengineering behind everyone's back, and more people are flooding the comment sections with, saying that, yeah, you've already been spraying us for a long time. How dare you guys? Like, we already know. So the fact that they come out as a world thing and say we're going to start spraying now, because it seems like they're just going ahead and saying they've chosen to just go ahead and spray the planet, and that's a desperate move. You're not even asking for a consensus. Well, we already knew that. I mean, they've been spraying us for 11 years. 11 years with no consensus, nothing. And a lot of people know that, it'd be fine and dandy if they did what they're doing now 11 years ago. If they actually came out and started talking about it, that they were going to think about doing it 11 years ago before they actually started doing it. David Keith, you can go around acting like you're this scientific person that has something backing you up that makes you have legitimate knowledge over everybody else, but that's not even true. Like, you can act that way. You can act like you have superior knowledge of all this, whatever you want to call it. It's all plotted out to go against other people in their lives. So you and your science people there, and your Bill Gates's ideologies, wanting to vaccinate India, either by air dispersal or forced vaccinations, and give them, actually taking their lives. A lot of the kids being paralyzed, like even right after they're given the injection. They find ways to hit our neurological and nervous system from spraying stuff in the atmosphere. And they've been getting away with that for a while. We all know that. And I'm really just baffled right now that we're actually, I'm actually kind of excited, because I'm excited only in a way, because if you study criminal psychology, you'll understand a little bit more about what criminals do when they're really kind of caught. Like when a criminal is getting away with stuff and he's screwing people around, he's got this, it seems, almost invincible ability to not, feel like they'll ever get caught or whatever, right? But once they start getting to be seen and exposed, they start to act in these manners where they have no other choice but to come out and say, we have to implement geoengineering. We're going to start it because we're going to just go do it, because they're just hoping right now that there's not quite enough people that know about it enough so they can sway it over the major media public. Now, I'm just going to be glad and proud inside that my mom knows all about spraying now. And if it wasn't for me and a bunch of other people that love the fact that we want to grow and have the ability to keep growing in the planet, not be controlled by a nanoparticulate matter that's going to surveil us and go through our DNA and change to make us totally controllable, and like, who's doing this? A bunch of guys in the Navy out on a boat somewhere in the sea? Is it you guys up in your seed vaults, underground bunkers? Like, what is it that makes another person not want to have someone else live? Like, I just don't get that. Like, I don't get it. I never will. I just try to, do what I like to do, and I never would impose for have anyone stop what they're doing, unless it was, in fact, taking advantage of someone else to hurt them or to demean them or to take something away from them or to hurt them physically. So I don't understand those kind of things, those concepts, and now it's just kind of the whole dark side that's been controlling us. They don't have a lot of emotion. It's all about just engulfing in Satanism and engulfing in cannibalism and things that just really are so, I don't know, I guess it just maybe starts at a young age. I'm just not quite sure. Like, I used to be into a lot of stuff when I was a kid. I'd notice some, maybe album covers or some things that I would notice it kind of would be kind of shocking or whatever, look kind of grotesque. But I always thought it was just kind of like, a gimmick for the type of music I listened to and stuff. But no, these were all just little controlling factors, really, that were, would promote the idea of, if you want to be a musician nowadays in the dark side, you may as well write songs about hate and write songs about violence and write songs about demons and death and all this stuff, and you'll probably go really far. And you could sing about prostitution and sexuality, and you'll go far nowadays. And I'm not even, like, we all know that as well. It's evident. So we've lost the purity, and if it's based on taking advantage of people, I'm not a part of that. I don't believe in taking advantage of people, or hurting them or whatever. Like, if people are okay with certain things and it's part of their lifestyle, because we all have an ultimate balance from good to evil. So we may have certain parts of our personality that need to be, fulfilled, whether you're good or you're bad. You need to have those fulfillments to feel like you're balanced. And, but as long as it's not really imposing any harm on anybody else, I find everything's fine. So, I don't really, but if you're taking advantage of anybody, it's not a good thing. So I've just never could understand how scientists and universities in Waterloo region here, and Harvard and Yale and out in Alberta, Calgary, the universities up there, it just blows me away how they're full bent on shutting up anybody speaking about the spraying, so they can literally manipulate and weasel the public, because they believe the public's so stupid. And like Alex Jones says a lot, it's true. Like, they think you're dumbed down and stupid, so they just take advantage of you. And that's exactly what Waterloo Region and Cambridge does. And these are just, business names to me, like, it just came over as a blanket over our education system in our region. And again, I'll say, military terminology is those two words, region and what was the other one? Waterloo region and district. That's it, district and region. And they're two military terms, and that's what I've been brought up under in Waterloo region ever since, like, I think 1974. A lot of things changed here with the banking system, and where the Rothschilds' banking system with interest came in, but a lot of things had just happened so quickly that it's just got to be turned back. We have to turn back where we were hijacked, how we were hijacked. I don't know if it's ever going to happen. I mean, I really, in Canada here, it just seems so like we're so far behind and so up that European Union's sleeve that even though the European Union is not going to go anywhere anymore, it's falling apart. I mean, it doesn't even have any hope. So this is what I'm trying to get at. I think that since the European Union is just absolutely falling apart, and the richest of the rich that were controlling everything are desperate now, they're losing a lot of their funding. UN's lost their funding. NATO's losing their funding. There's so many amazing things happening right now that it's making them, the evil side, have to punch one last time. And it's pretty exciting to go through this, and very interesting too, because we have, the influx of immigrants that are allowed to just come into Canada. Now, the United States has put a block on that, but now you got the California mayor opening up the doors for immigrants again. So, and that's funny because that's where you get Arnold Schwarzenegger and all the Hollywood people, and Hollywood is the Satanist regime, indoctrinating our kids and ourselves throughout our lives to be conditioned into liking stuff based on image and gimmick, when it used to be all based on things that were real and had good meaning to it, in music and movies and books and writing, and anything would seem to be a lot better in the 70s and earlier, a lot more down to earth, and the 80s just got taken over. But we're in a time right now where all of the reasoning behind the keeping us all shut up and beating us up and abusing us in Cambridge, Ontario, and Waterloo region, if we speak about geoengineering or spraying the planet, or you get mayors' faces that look like they're stone cold ghosts looking when they look at your sign that says "Stop Geoengineering." You know what they're thinking. They're thinking, "Oh my, this is the whole thing we're supposed to ride on." To start doing it, and people are already saying, stop geoengineering? That's the thing we're supposed to start doing to convince people to sucker everybody in, to pay money, so then all these science leagues can, for another 100 years or 70 years, take advantage of everybody. But they're actually plotting, in the dark side, they're even talking of saying that this is it, this will be the way that it would control humanity forever. And I don't blame them there. I don't blame them. It's not that I don't blame them. Sorry, I said that wrong. I don't question that because of the way they're spraying our planet. So I don't question what I meant to say, not blame. I don't question them for saying that they could have a chance to control everybody. Because when you spray nanoparticulate matter and you boast in science papers that it's a surveillance grid, that's literally connecting every tree and grass blade and flower and bee, and if there's any left, and all the insects and everything just together in a mechanical kind of frequency mechanism that can sustain life and disease and all this stuff. But they're touting it under this really great breakthrough of nanotechnology and the future of transhumanism and robotics, and that's where it gets really deceiving. It's just so deceiving that they've already sprayed us for 11 years, and they're coming out saying that, oh yeah, we should probably spray the planet because that'll help us with the way the weather is being inconsistent and ruining our crop yields and everything. Well, that's what geoengineering did in the first place. That's what created the crop yields being low and created the weather intensities and up and down, people getting cold and sick. And it's just obviously going into big pharma's hands. Okay, so we know that everything we've been fighting against is fighting against us right now, and I think in the very last days of that system. Now we have North Korea and China and all this, and this is we have also they're North Korea is threatening the United States, and the United States asks China for support. China's not really doing much. Well, China makes a lot of money from North Korea, and they don't want to go against them. They'll just make up these stories and stuff, but I don't think they ever want to go against them. It's got to be a massive change of heart of their system in China, of their really bad humanitarian system. I guess they do have, they're pressured into that system a lot, but a lot of it is unnecessary, and it's just bloating and being someone that is a dictator that enjoys messing with people like Kim Jong-un, him in North Korea. Just a young guy too, just full of hatred. That's all they know apparently in North Korea, is how to really focus on how to really control the world and to defeat their enemy. And that's really all they live. They don't have a regular culture like most countries do. But these cultures we live in right now, they're not as purified as it could be. And especially in Ontario. Ontario is just blowing me away really big time right now. Especially now being 46, living through their matrix throughout my whole life. I realized how hard it is in Ontario to do anything unless you are okay with being controlled entirely by a group of people that have special interests. So it's kind of ripped apart the independency of what we should all be aiming for. And so the good thing is that I'm surrounded by some good people around me too that are getting free energy projects. We had Martin McDermott on with Bill Squire a while back, and they were speaking about land entitlement. But we were going to have another episode where we spoke about free energy projects. But giving out that information at this point in time is really not in anyone's favor. There's talks with investors and talks with Ontario government, even having negotiative email conversations with David Levac, the House Speaker of Ontario, and literally trying to free up this smart meter program of hydro commission authoritarianism. Authoritarian. Okay, I'm gonna probably cut that out. Of the authoritarian type, authoritative structure, and it's really mind blowing how we've been really controlled here and for so long, and it's really just got to stop. I mean, this is like the worst we could ever imagine. We used to have regular power systems with the regular analog meter, and now it's been forcedly, it wasn't even asked upon. It was forced upon to have our smart meters put in. And those smart meters give off major amounts of radiation, and it goes right through the walls too. If you don't have a radiation wall to stop that radiation, it goes through the walls. So if you have 12, if you live in an apartment complex and you have the room beside you has all the smart meters in it, you better get a shield for your wall for those smart meters, because you're getting major amount of radiation going through, and it probably lessen your ability to have better energy. And your illnesses are going to, be harder to maintain, because the radiation, the frequencies and stuff with your electrical appliances and with the smart meter boxes, it just goes across the room from one plug to the next, one receptacle to the next, and it's really kind of an overbearing surveillance grid all on its own. And the smart meter program was the start of getting these systems in here so they could literally control the output of. So it makes our bills more expensive. Okay, it doesn't help us at all. They just do little small gimmick ways to make it seem like, hey, isn't this great? Look at this smart little program we have. You're gonna have to pay more for it, but it's so smart, and it'll tell you what you're doing wrong and what you're doing right. It's really invasive. I don't go into anyone else's house and try to tell them what they're doing wrong, what they're doing right with their energy. In Ontario, we're stuck with just one power facility. I just can't even take it anymore. So the Haldeman Tract, was the original land given to the Mohawks. And in 1779, the promissory note was given, and in 1784, the land was given. And I have no agenda. To anyone that thinks I have an agenda out there, wow. For those who think I have a personal agenda, I did investigative work for the Mohawks for like the last 5 years, and I was actually asked to come there. Okay, I was asked to come there recently to help them. So there's no agenda at all. Just asked to come there and let them know about chemtrails. And we got billboard going on there to expose the Mohawk territory and the chemtrail spraying with Joseph Brant spraying in the air. And pointing to the spraying in the air. Okay, Joseph Brant is not spraying the planet. He's the one pointing at the spraying. Make sure I get that right. But anyway, it's a great billboard on Highway 6. We just got it put on the other side of the billboard. We're really, really excited. So it's the very first time I get to announce that. That on Highway 6, just south of Caledonia, we have a really beautiful billboard. We just got it on the other side because it's 5 times more effective for viewing. And it's paid up until July, so we had a lot of time to raise some money for that. And we're still looking for donations, so please, if you go on Google search, just put Mohawk Billboard, a GoFundMe campaign will come up for the Mohawk Territory Billboard. Please feel free to donate to that billboard. And to byebyebluesky.com is where all the billboard campaigns are. So you can, either go to the GoFundMe site or go to byebyebluesky.com with a Google search, and you'll hit a website that is an amazing website with all sorts of information and ways to get rid of the nanoparticulate in our bodies. And that is run by Susan Marr. We also have a person in town here in Galt, Ontario, Florence LaRose, that does really awesome orgonite pieces, and you can get a hold of her stuff online by getting a hold of her, Florence LaRose, and Florence is Florence, and LaRose, 2 words, and you will come up with a wonderful lady that's making orgonite, and she wants the orgonite everywhere. Even thinking about developing rings around the bases of cell towers to try to push that energy away from the children or away from the municipalities that are surrounding those cell towers. I think that's a great idea too. But you can also check out her work at the Nature's Vibe. You can ask about orgonite pieces there, and they will show you her work. They're available there, and they're also available at the Bamboo. There's a bamboo place downtown on Ainsley Street, and I'm trying the House of Bamboo, I think it's called, and she also has her pieces available there. So these are ways to, get rid of to fight against the technological warfare we're in right now, frequency warfare systems we've been placed in. So, and that will push negative ions. It'll push the positive ions away. And I know that's kind of confusing. But positive ions are not good for you. So the negative ions are good for you, but they push away the positive ions, and kind of it helps you to not be radiated or frequency manipulated. So that's really good. And there's Tony Pantelleresco has Nano Buckets online. You can just check out Nano Bucket. It'll probably come up with him. There's diatomaceous earth. There's deactivated charcoal. There's getthetea.com. There's all sorts of products out there that can help to get rid of the aluminum and heavy metals in your body, like chlorella and cilantro are a great mix. Have cilantro first and mix it in your meal or whatever, or even just have it raw, because that will dislodge a lot of the metals in your body. And then the chlorella, when you have that, when you take that afterwards, that literally gets rid of it. So the cilantro is really great and effective to get it up and dislodged from the tissue, and then the chlorella will get rid of it. If you just take the chlorella, it will still get rid of stuff, but more on the surface stuff. It won't dig and get rid of, exfoliate, and extract that stuff out of your skin. So deactivated charcoal does that naturally, so that's a good thing. It's black, it's powdery. You can drink it down with water. There's no taste. It's good for you. Next day, you'll notice your poo might be a little bit black or green and stuff, but that's all the metals and aluminum getting out of your body. I don't know if I should have said that, but I know Winnie the Pooh is not a bad thing to say on air, so we'll just leave it at that. we need to definitely take our dignity back here, because we have scientists that are in, in hot water right now, trying to do whatever they can to manipulate the public, to make them believe that we are the ones causing all this. That we're literally the ones causing climate change. So they're going to come in and geoengineer to fix the problem. And so, so it's kind of like, them acting as the savior, right? We all know that. But it's really, I'm going to be ending this episode soon, a little bit shorter than most, but I just needed to get a point out here. Waterloo region in Ontario, Canada, and, Toronto, Hamilton, all these places, these are all majorly controlled places. I'm telling you, we are so slave grinded that people believe that this is a free place to come and live. And then when you come and live here, you're taxed, you're charged with every single thing that you think about doing. And it's really bad. Like, it's really, really, really bad. And, so when I look at the history of the Haldeman Tract, and I look at the sovereignty of how they're not anything to do with the legislative body of Ontario, they are literally sovereign land, and they don't abide by those rules at all there. Sure is a different feeling when you're there, and you're experiencing that kind of feeling. If you're one with Mother Earth and you want to protect Mother Earth, you're pretty much good to go. Anyone out there that wants to do anything that goes against fluency of people working together, or that wants to go against, just working with each other, or if it goes against anything that has to do with growing or working or getting along, it's just not acceptable. So, like, you're going to spray the planet and pretend that you have this ultimate. Like, right away, that shows you think you have an ultimate ego to just make decisions above everybody's head. Meanwhile, these decisions you're making and dispersals of aluminum in the atmosphere you're making over the last 11 years, when we all tally up the deaths and the neurological diseases that have come from this, are you going to be accountable for that? Do you ever feel like that? Like David Keith, Ken Calderon, Bill Gates, do you ever feel like you may be accountable for the deaths in India? Do you ever feel like you might be accountable for the deaths already that have occurred in Canada, or the United States, or Mexico, wherever they're spraying, Europe, China, everywhere they're spraying? Okay, and I'm not quite sure about everywhere, but if you want to control and surveil and do all sorts of stuff to control and manipulate, you're going to want to cover a lot of area. And I found that they spray the most in populated areas anyway. So I figured that's what they were trying to do, is to tag people so they'd have the nanoparticulate in their body. They wouldn't know it, but if they went out on a trip, they'd be surveillable on a grid. So whoever has actually got that grid is happy to say as well that the nanoparticulate matter that's in our rooms and in our bodies and all over the place, because it's so small, you can't even see it. It's like little air, or you can see it barely. But little small specks of dust, in the air that will go into our system, sit on our floor, sit on our couch and stuff. And until you actually vacuum it off, if it hasn't clamped itself onto things, it's literally turned into a mini camera, a mini device that is this future roboticized, transhumanized world. Thanks to these scientists that waste our time on really, honestly, on deciding. It's funny, I have a neighbor next door that fucking, like, I can't even do my things here because she slams on the, she hits her floor hits her foot on the ground and smacks the floor when I'm doing these episodes. I just can't even take it. I'm trying to soundproof the wall for her too, and she just gets mad at me when I make any noise on the wall at all. Almost, I don't know, I'm not even going to go into that. But so I'm just trying to finish here. I got a little bit off of track there because I don't know if you heard the boom on the floor, but so yeah. Anyway, this what I'm trying to say is we need to stop this. I mean, this is a major crime, and David Keith, you could pretend that we don't know what science is and we don't really know real science because of your ability to mess with people in this degree. But I can understand that you're literally like scared for your life right now. And you'll do whatever you possibly can to convince the public that it's actually a good idea. So this is where your pompousness and your all your science ability to feel like you're pompous and you're bigger and you're more important to other people is literally coming down to it, to face the reality that we're all the same people here on the same planet. No one's better than anyone else. I know things that you might not know, and you know things that I might not know. And that's for everybody. No one should put themselves up above. And if they know how everyone else is being controlled and being manipulated, we should be untightening that so everyone feels like they have a chance to do something. And I really hope that that's what's going on right now, because it seems like that's what's going on right now, that the U.S. military for the first time in a long time is actually backing a president entirely, but based on goodwill, because they were caught underneath a really bad structure, and now that bad structure is being called out. And we're going through some interesting times, everybody. So I just want to have this episode to be about you making a decision while you're in your car or when you're at home. Or I want you to make a decision to send a letter or to at least talk to somebody and experience what it's like to go and speak to somebody within the city about the spraying of the atmosphere, just to have a conversation with them. The more times we call our MPs, the more times we go to our city halls and just ask questions, the more comfortable and the more braver our political body gets. Because until people don't go knocking and calling, they believe that we don't notice, so they just keep going, right? And it's easier for them to abuse single people like me, and I'm surprised that there aren't other people in this town that have actually helped to support me. Instead, they've just really seemed to be like watching me go through hell. People have to stand up and do something. Like, Amanda Danielle, like, she's out there calling all sorts of people. She's got a really great way to record the conversations and stuff. That's great. I wish I had a way to do that right now, but I got to figure out a way to do that. But a long time ago, I used to call places all the time. Every major place in Canada I called. I wanted to try to record it, but it never really came out too well. But we all got to do our part, is what I'm trying to say. All it takes is like a few phone calls to question them. And you'll find out yourself that they're hiding stuff. And we need to all be on the same page here, okay? Because we need to talk to these people in the top that are, since World War II, have had Operation Paperclip to bring a bunch of Nazi scientists over here to develop this whole grid we're in right now. So we should really open up our eyes and pay attention. And we will make this place a better place. And until the next episode of Covert Reality, everyone have a really great week, and we will see you again next time.